Hello, everyone. Welcome to Say It.
Hey everyone, so happy you are here with us today. I am Mike.
And I am Sarah. So happy you are joining us.
Sarah, quick question. What was the first English verb you ever learned?
Probably to be. I am, you are, he is.
Second verb.
Have. I have, you have, she has.
And did it feel simple?
Completely. 4 forms, 1 meaning, done.
That is exactly the problem.
Because have is not simple at all.
Not even close. I was reading back through some messages from a student this week, and in one message, 3 sentences, she used have 4 times.
And?
2 of them were wrong, and the other 2 were right, and all 4 looked almost identical.
That is have in a nutshell. Same word, completely different jobs. And the difference between right and wrong is not obvious until someone shows you exactly where to look.
Which is today.
Which is today. But first, those 2 wrong sentences. She wrote, I am having a headache so I cannot concentrate, and I am having a car so I can drive us there.
I am having a headache. I am having a car.
Both sound almost right.
They do, but both are wrong for the same reason.
And by the time we finish today, you will know exactly why, and you will never make that mistake again.
But before we get into it,
please like and subscribe to Say It. Every new like and subscriber motivates us to prepare more episodes for you.
now let's get into it.
So, have, the verb every learner thinks they know.
And almost nobody fully does.
Because have does not have one job. It has 6 completely different roles in English.
And we are going to teach all 6 today.
6 roles.
From one 3-letter word.
But before we go through each one, here is the map so you can see where everything fits.
Go ahead.
The first 3 roles are have as a main verb, doing its own work, carrying its own meaning.
Role 1.
Possession. What you own, what you have in your life, what you carry as a characteristic. I have a car. She has 3 brothers. He has a headache.
Role 2.
Experience. What you do and live through. Activities, events. Have lunch. Have a meeting. Have a great time.
Role 3.
Arrangement. What you cause someone else to do for you. I had my car washed. She is having the kitchen painted. Someone else did it. You arranged it.
3 main verb roles. Then what?
Then have steps into a completely different identity. Role 4, auxiliary verb, the engine of the perfect tense. I have finished. She had already left. Have reaches into the past and connects it to now.
Role 5.
Obligation. Have to. I have to go. She has to be there by 9. Something required by rules or circumstances, not a choice.
And role 6.
Fixed expressions, the have phrases baked into everyday English. Have a nice day. Have you got a minute? I have had enough. These are not possession or experience or obligation. They are have doing something entirely its own.
6 roles. And most learners know what? 2 of them?
Maybe 3. Possession, a few collocations, and the perfect tense. The others are either unknown or confused.
Which is why sentences like, I am having a headache sound almost right.
Almost, but almost is not enough. And today, we fix that. All 6, starting with the one every learner knows first.
Possession. Role 1. The one everyone learns first.
And the one that causes the most confusion because it looks simple but has more to it than people expect.
Starting with what possession actually covers.
It is broader than most learners think. Yes, things you own. I have a car. She has a large house. He has 3 computers. But also,
Relationships.
I have 2 brothers and a sister. She has a very supportive family. Does he have any children? The people in your life have covers all of them.
Physical characteristics.
She has blue eyes and long hair. He has a beard. The house has 8 windows. Describing what someone or something looks like, have.
And physical states.
I have a headache. She has a cold. He has a bad back. Do you have a temperature? Not things you are doing, states you are in. Have.
And beyond the physical?
Abstract possession. I have an idea. She has a point. He has a lot of patience. We have concerns about the plan. Things you carry mentally or professionally, have covers those too.
So possession is not just I have a car.
Not at all. It is everything you own, everyone in your life, everything about how you look, every state you are in, every quality you carry. If it belongs to you or is associated with you, have.
Now the grammar, because this is where a lot of learners go wrong.
Possession have needs do and does for questions and negatives. Do you have a pen? Does she have any siblings? I do not have time. She does not have a car.
Never have you a car.
Never. Or she has not a sister. Those are very formal British survivals. Learners will hear them occasionally. I have not a clue is a common one, but in everyday speech, always do and does.
And have got, the informal alternative.
Very common, especially in British English. I have a car and I have got a car mean exactly the same thing for possession. She has 3 cats. She has got 3 cats. Do you have a pen? Have you got a pen?
Always contracted in speech.
Always. I have got becomes I've got. She has got becomes she's got. They have got becomes they've got. Nobody says the full form in natural conversation.
And have got has limits.
3 important ones. First, present tense only. Have got cannot go into the past. I had a bicycle when I was young. Never I had got a bicycle. Past possession is always had. Just had, nothing else.
Second limit.
Cannot replace have when have is an action verb. I have breakfast every morning. Wrong. I have breakfast every morning. Right. Have got is for possession only. The moment have is describing an activity, have got does not work.
And the third.
Cannot be used with frequency adverbs. I usually have a coffee in the morning. Right. I usually have got a coffee. Wrong. Usually, always, often, never. These do not go with have got.
And British versus American English?
British English, have got is everywhere in speech. I've got a car. Have you got a minute? I haven't got a clue. American English, plain have is strongly preferred. I have a car. Do you have a minute? I don't have a clue.
Both varieties correct, just different habits.
And if you are ever unsure which to use, plain have is always safe in any variety, in any situation. Have got is the informal British option. Plain have is the universal one.
Role 1. Everything you own, everyone in your life, every state you carry. Do and does for questions and negatives. And have got, present only, possession only, no frequency adverbs.
And now, role 2, the one that surprises people most.
Why does it surprise them?
Because it looks exactly like role 1. Same verb, same structure, completely different meaning. And one of them can go into continuous, and the other absolutely cannot.
Because it looks exactly like role 1. Same verb, same structure, completely different meaning, and one of them can go into continuous and the other absolutely cannot.
This is the distinction that explains those 2 sentences from the beginning. I am having a headache. I am having a car.
Both wrong for the same reason. But to understand why, we need rule 2 first.
Which is?
Action have. When have describes an activity, something you actively do or live through, it becomes a completely different word.
Not possession anymore.
Not possession, an experience, an event, something happening.
Show me.
Have lunch, have a meeting, have a shower, have fun, have a chat with someone, have a look at something.
The have feels almost empty in those.
Exactly. It is a light verb. The noun does the real work. You are not possessing lunch, you are eating it.
And the collocations, organized by category?
Food and drink, have breakfast, lunch, dinner, a coffee, a bite to eat.
Washing, have a shower, a bath, a shave, a haircut.
Rest, have a rest, a nap, a break, a day off.
Communication, have a chat, a conversation, a meeting, a discussion, an argument, a word with someone.
experience. Have fun, a good time, a bad day, a tough week, a dream, an idea.
And these cannot be replaced with do or make.
Never. She made a shower? Wrong. We did a meeting? Wrong. They made fun? Wrong.
Always have.
Always have. Now, the continuous.
Action have can go into continuous?
It can, because an activity can be in progress.
She is having lunch right now.
The activity is still happening. Continuous. Correct.
They are having a meeting at the moment.
Still in progress. Correct.
We are having a great time.
In the middle of the experience. Always fine with action have.
So, the stative versus action test.
2 questions. Is the subject actively doing something deliberately? Action have, continuous possible. Is it a state that simply exists? Stative have, no continuous, simple present only.
Apply it to I am having lunch.
Eating lunch, something you actively do, in progress right now. Continuous, correct.
I am having a headache.
Is having a headache something you actively do? No, you do not choose a headache. It simply exists. Stative, no continuous. She has a headache, correct.
I am having a car.
Is owning a car something you actively do? No, it simply belongs to you. Stative, no continuous. I have a car, correct.
Both sentences from the beginning failed the same test.
Both describe states, neither can go into continuous, and now they are wrong in a way that makes complete sense.
And there is one more structure with action have, the one almost every learner gets wrong.
Have plus difficulty, trouble, a hard time, a problem, followed by a verb.
She had difficulty to remember names.
Wrong. Always gerund, never infinitive.
She had difficulty remembering names.
Correct. He had a hard time finding the address, not to find. I had trouble sleeping, not to sleep.
Why gerund?
Difficulty, trouble, a hard time, these describe an ongoing struggle. The gerund captures that. The infinitive does not.
Difficulty remembering, trouble sleeping, a hard time finding.
Always. And one British versus American difference worth knowing.
Which one?
British, have a shower, have a nap, have a look. American, take a shower, take a nap, take a look. Same meaning, different verb, both correct in their own variety.
Action have, activities and experiences, continuous possible, never do or make for these collocations, and after difficulty, trouble, a hard time, always gerund, always.
And now, have steps out of main verb territory entirely into something that reaches back into the past and connects it to right now.
Role 3, auxiliary have.
A completely different identity, not possession, not activity. Have becomes the engine of the perfect tense.
What does that mean exactly?
Have plus a past participle. That combination creates the present perfect. I have finished. She has lived here for 5 years. Have you ever been to Japan?
And what does the present perfect actually do?
It connects the past to now, something that happened before but is relevant to this moment. I have finished. The finishing happened before now, but it matters right now. It affects the present.
Compare that to past simple.
I finished yesterday. Past simple. That is a completed event with no connection to now. I have finished, present perfect. The result is here. The relevance is now.
And had plus past participle?
Past perfect, going even further back. When you are already in the past and you need to go back further still. I had already eaten when she arrived. The eating happened before the arriving. 2 past events. Past perfect places one before the other.
And will have plus past participle.
Future perfect, an action that will be complete before a future moment. By Friday, I will have finished the report. Not finished yet, but will be done by then.
And the continuous versions.
Have been plus verb ing, present perfect continuous. I have been working here for 3 years, an action that started in the past and is still continuing now. Had been plus verb ing, past perfect continuous. He had been waiting for 2 hours before she arrived.
So auxiliary have forms 5 different perfect tenses.
5. And here is the critical grammar rule that separates auxiliary have from main verb have.
Which rule?
When have is the auxiliary, questions and negatives do not use do or does. The auxiliary makes them directly.
Have you finished?
Not do you have finished. Have inverts directly with the subject. No do needed.
She has not arrived yet.
Not she does not have arrived. Hasn't directly. No does.
And the contractions, always in natural speech.
Always. I have finished becomes I've finished. She has arrived becomes she's arrived. I had already eaten becomes I'd already eaten. Nobody says the full form in casual conversation.
And I'd, that contraction can mean 2 things.
It can. I'd finished, I had finished, past participle. I'd go, I would go, conditional. The verb form after tells you which one. Past participle after had, base verb after would.
Now the key distinction, auxiliary have versus main verb have.
Side by side. I have finished, auxiliary. Question, have you finished? No do. Negative, I haven't finished. I have a car, main verb. Question, do you have a car? Do required. Negative, I don't have a car.
The role of have determines everything about the question and negative.
Everything. Get the role wrong, the grammar falls apart. Get it right, and the whole system makes sense.
And if you want to go deeper on perfect tenses, how they work, when to use each one, and how present perfect compares to past simple,
we have a full episode on past simple and present perfect. The link is in the description. Everything, the comparisons, the time expressions, the tricky pairs, all of it is there.
But the rule here, auxiliary have never needs do or does. It makes its own questions and negatives, every time.
And now have takes on its most surprising identity of all.
More surprising than auxiliary?
Much more, because this one sounds like possession, but means something completely different. Role 4, causative have.
What makes it causative?
Someone else did the action. You arranged it. You caused it to happen, but you did not do it yourself.
Structure?
Subject, have or has or had, then the object, then the past participle.
Show me.
I had my car washed.
Someone else washed it.
You arranged it. You did not wash it yourself.
She had her hair cut.
The hairdresser did it.
We are having the house painted.
The decorators are doing it. You are arranging it.
And this is role 4, not possession, not activity, not auxiliary.
Completely different. And here is where it gets interesting.
3 phrases, almost identical, completely different meanings.
I washed my car.
You did it yourself. Past simple, your action.
I had washed my car.
You washed it before something else happened. Past perfect, still your action, earlier in time.
I had my car washed.
Someone else washed it. Causative, not your action, your arrangement.
Same words, different order. 3 completely different truths.
The word order makes all the difference.
Always. Had plus past participle, past perfect. You did it. Had plus object plus past participle, causative. Someone else did it.
And get something done, is that the same?
Same meaning, more informal. I got my car fixed. She got her eyes tested. Get it done, imperative, very natural in conversation.
Have versus get, what is the difference?
Have, slightly more formal or neutral. Get, more conversational. I had my car serviced. Neutral. I got my car fixed. Casual. Both means someone else did it for you.
And causative have has another use as well.
It does. Things that happen to someone outside their control. Not arranged, just happened.
She had her bag stolen.
She did not arrange that. It happened to her.
He had his car damaged in the flood.
Not his choice, not his arrangement, but still have plus object plus past participle. Context tells you which meaning applies.
Arranged or happened to, same structure, context decides.
Always. And one more thing, get something done as an imperative.
Get it done.
Very natural, very common. More natural than have it done in everyday speech.
So causative have. Someone else did the action. You arranged it. Have or get plus object plus past participle. And word order is everything. Had plus past participle is past perfect. Had plus object plus past participle is causative.
And now, role 5, the one that follows have everywhere, into the past, into the future, into questions and negatives, and tells you something is not a choice. Have to. And this is have doing something completely different again.
What does have to express?
External obligation, something required by rules, circumstances, or necessity, not something you decided. Something that has to happen, whether you want it to or not.
I have to go.
Not a choice, something requires it.
She has to wear a uniform.
The rules require it.
He had to stay late last night.
Circumstances required it. Past, had to, always had to for past obligation.
And future?
Will have to. I will have to attend the meeting on Friday, something that will be required, not yet, but coming.
And questions and negatives?
Do and does, exactly like main verb have. Do you have to work this weekend? Does she have to be there? I do not have to go, meaning it is not required. She does not have to come, no obligation.
Do not have to. That is very different from must not.
Completely different. Must not means you are not allowed. It is forbidden. Do not have to means there is no obligation. You can if you want, but you do not need to.
You must not smoke in here. Forbidden.
You do not have to smoke in here, obviously, but the point, no obligation. Free choice.
And have got to, the informal version.
Very common in British English especially. I have got to go. I've got to go. She has got to be there. Same meaning as have to, more informal, more conversational.
But have got to, present only?
Present only. For past obligation, always had to. Never had got to. I had to stay late. Never I had got to stay late.
And have to versus must, what is the difference?
Both express obligation, but the source is different. Have to, external obligation. The rules say so. The circumstances require it. Must, internal obligation. The speaker feels it personally. I have to wear a suit. The company requires it. I must call her. I feel strongly that I should.
Must also has no past form.
No past form at all. For past obligation, always had to. I had to wear a uniform at school. Never I must wear. Must stays in the present.
And in natural conversation, have to or must?
Have to is far more common in everyday speech. Must sounds stronger, more urgent, more personal. Have to is the natural, everyday choice for most obligations.
I have to be at the airport by 6.
Natural, normal obligation.
I must be at the airport by 6.
More urgent, more personal emphasis. Both correct, different weight.
And if you want to go deeper, how have to compares to must and should across every tense and situation.
We have a full episode on must, have to, and should. Every comparison, every nuance, every tricky pair. The link is in the description.
But the rule here, have to for external obligation, do and does for questions and negatives, had to for the past, will have to for the future, and have got to for informal present.
Role 5. And now the 6th and final role, the one that is not possession, not activity, not auxiliary, not causative, not obligation.
What is left?
Have baked into the language itself. Phrases so common people use them every day without realizing have is even there.
Role 6. Fixed expressions. And these are different from everything we have covered so far.
How so?
They are not possession, not activity, not obligation. They are have locked into the language, as greetings, as reactions, as ways of asking for attention or expressing a limit.
Like, have a nice day.
The most classic of all, have a good one, have fun, have a safe trip. Every time you say goodbye to someone, have is almost certainly there.
Those are so automatic.
Completely automatic. Nobody thinks, oh, I need to use have here. It just comes. And that is exactly what Role 6 is. Have so embedded in the language that it stops feeling like a verb at all.
And asking for time or attention.
Have you got a minute? Do you have a moment? Both asking for a brief conversation. And then, can I have a word?
That one feels different.
It does. Can I have a word often signals something serious is coming, a quiet conversation, something that needs to be said privately. If a manager says, can I have a word, people notice.
They do.
And the opposite, reaching a limit.
I have had enough.
Reached my limit, cannot take any more. I have had it, completely done, exhausted, fed up. I have had it up to here. Patience completely gone.
Very expressive.
Very, and very common. You will hear all three constantly in natural English conversation.
And encouragement, have a go.
Try it. Give it a shot. Have a go. You might like it. Have a shot at it. Have a try. All encouraging someone to attempt something without pressure.
Have it your way.
Do what you want. I will agree. Often said with mild resignation. Fine, have it your way, I give up arguing.
And British informal, she has a lot on.
Very common. She has a lot on at the moment. She is very busy right now. I have got a lot on this week. I am very busy. Learners hear this constantly and often do not know what it means.
And one fixed British expression worth knowing.
I have not a clue, or I haven't a clue, meaning I have absolutely no idea. Very common as a fixed phrase in British English. Standard version everywhere, I do not have a clue. But I haven't a clue, you will hear it constantly.
And have you seen?
Not always a literal question. Have you seen the size of that? Have you seen her new car? It is drawing attention to something impressive. Look at this. Is this not remarkable?
And you have not seen anything yet.
The best is still to come. The most impressive part has not happened yet. Very natural, very expressive.
6 roles, and role 6 alone could fill an entire conversation.
Have is everywhere. Once you start noticing it, you cannot stop.
And now the moments where it all goes wrong. 4 mistakes, the most confusing ones, fast and clean.
First one.
I am having a car. She is having a headache.
Continuous with stative have, the ones from the beginning of the episode.
Both wrong for the same reason.
The stative test. Owning a car is not an activity. Having a headache is not an activity. Both are states that simply exist. No continuous, ever.
I have a car. She has a headache.
Simple present always. And action have completely different. She is having lunch, correct, because eating is an activity in progress.
Same verb, opposite rules. The role decides everything.
Mistake number 2.
She had difficulty to remember names. He had a hard time to find the address.
Infinitive after have plus difficulty, trouble, a hard time.
Feels natural.
It does, but always wrong. Always gerund after these expressions. She had difficulty remembering names. He had a hard time finding the address. I had trouble sleeping.
Difficulty remembering, trouble sleeping, a hard time finding, gerund, every single time.
Mistake number 3, and the most surprising one.
I had washed my car versus I had my car washed.
Almost identical, completely different meanings.
What is the difference?
I had washed my car, past participle. I washed it myself before something else happened.
I had my car washed, causative. Someone else washed it.
The object in the middle changes everything. Had plus past participle, you did it. Had plus object plus past participle, someone else did it.
Word order is everything in the causative.
Everything. Get it wrong? Completely different meaning.
And mistake number 4.
Do you have finished? She does not have arrived yet.
Do and does with auxiliary have.
When have is the auxiliary, it makes its own questions and negatives. No do or does ever.
Have you finished?
Not do you have finished.
She has not arrived yet.
Not she does not have arrived.
The auxiliary inverts directly. Do and does stay out completely.
4 mistakes. 4 fixes.
Continuous with stative have, never. The state simply exists, simple present only.
After difficulty, trouble, a hard time, always gerund. The infinitive never works.
Had plus past participle. You did it yourself. Had plus object plus past participle. Someone else did it. Word order decides.
Auxiliary have, no do or does ever. It makes its own questions and negatives.
4 mistakes.
And every single one completely fixable.
Now let us hear all 6 rules working together in one real conversation.
The scenario: 2 colleagues, Monday morning, one has had a very eventful weekend. Let's go. Morning, how was your weekend?
Honestly, eventful. We had a small family gathering on Saturday. About 15 people.
Oh, lovely. Did you have a good time?
Mostly, though I had a lot of trouble organizing everything. My flat is not exactly big.
I can imagine. Did you do all the cooking yourself?
Most of it, but I had the cake made by a bakery down the road. No way I was attempting that myself.
Smart. And you have got family visiting. That is always a lot.
It is. And on top of that, my car broke down on Friday evening.
No, right before the weekend?
Right before. I've had it for 6 years. First time it has let me down badly.
Have you had it looked at yet?
I'm getting it fixed this week, actually. I found a good garage nearby.
Good. Do you have to leave it there all day?
Probably. They said it might take a few hours. I have to be in the office by 9, though, so I need to sort out how I'm getting here.
I can give you a lift if you need one.
Really? That would be great. Have you got time?
Of course. It's no trouble at all.
That is really kind. Right, I'd better get going. I've got a meeting in 10 minutes.
Go. Have a good one.
You too. Speak later.
Let us pause there. 6 roles, 1 conversation. Let us pick out a few.
We had a small family gathering on Saturday.
Action have. Have plus a noun describing an activity or event. The gathering was something that happened, something lived through.
I had a lot of trouble organizing everything.
Have plus trouble plus gerund. Organizing, not to organize. The gerund always after trouble, difficulty, a hard time.
I had the cake made by a bakery.
Causative have. Someone else made it. Had plus object plus past participle. The bakery did it. He arranged it.
I have had it for 6 years.
Auxiliary have. Present perfect. Have plus past participle. Had. A state that started in the past and continues to now. For 6 years. Still true today.
Have you had it looked at yet?
Causative have inside a present perfect question. Had it looked at, someone else looks at it. And have you had, auxiliary forming the question. No do needed.
I have to be in the office by 9.
Have to for obligation, external. The job requires it, not a personal choice. Do and does for questions and negatives. Do you have to leave it there all day?
Have you got time?
Have got for possession, informal, present tense. Time, something you have or do not have right now.
And have a good one.
Fixed expression, role 6. Have baked into the language as a parting wish. Nobody thinks about it, it just comes.
6 roles, 1 Monday morning conversation.
And none of it felt like grammar.
Because once these roles are inside you, you stop choosing them. The right one just arrives.
Now finally, it's time to lock all 6 roles fast.
Role 1, possession. Everything you own, everyone in your life, every state you carry.
Do and does for questions and negatives.
Have got, the informal British alternative, present tense only, never in the past, never with action verbs, never frequency adverbs. Plain have, always safe in any variety.
Role 2, action have, activities and experiences. Have lunch, have a meeting, have a shower, have fun. Never do or make for these, always have.
Continuous possible here because the activity can be in progress. She is having lunch, correct, but stative have, no continuous ever. She has a headache, not she is having a headache.
The test, is it something you actively do? Action have. Is it a state that simply exists? Stative have. Simple present only.
And after difficulty, trouble, a hard time, always gerund, always. She had difficulty remembering. He had trouble sleeping. Never the infinitive.
Role 4, causative have. Someone else did the action, you arranged it. Have plus object plus past participle. I had my car washed. Get something done, the informal version.
And word order is everything. Had plus past participle, past perfect, you did it yourself. Had plus object plus past participle, causative, someone else did it.
Role 5, have to. External obligation. Something required by rules or circumstances. Do and does for questions and negatives. Had to for the past. Will have to for the future.
Must not means forbidden. Do not have to means no obligation, free choice. And if you want every comparison, must, have to, should, across every tense, we have a full episode on that. Link in the description.
Role 6, fixed expressions. Have a nice day. Have a good one. Have you got a minute? Can I have a word? I have had enough. Have a go. She has a lot on. I haven't a clue.
Have, baked into the language itself, not possession, not activity, just have.
6 roles, 1 3-letter verb.
Now, your challenge.
3 sentences, 3 roles, your real life right now.
Something you have, possession, something you are having or recently had, activity, and something you need to have done, causative. Someone else is going to do it for you.
Write them in the comments. We read every single one. And honestly, after this episode, we are expecting some very good sentences.
We are. And if this episode helped you, please share it with one person who is learning English right now. It makes a bigger difference than you think.
And if you are not subscribed to Say It yet,
please subscribe. We put everything into every single episode, and we do not want you to miss what is coming next.
we will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.